Let's start at EventBridge console. First, let's create a new event bus where we can send events to. This would be custom events that our services are emitting based on state changes as orders get processed. Later on, we would be creating rules to subscribe specific actions to specific events. The code is fairly simple and straightforward. We are just computing the total costs of the order, then storing it in our DynamoDB table. I mentioned earlier about the transactional outbox pattern, where we have dual write operations that need to be treated in a transactional manner. We can definitely call EventBridge Put Events API after writing an entry into DynamoDB, but we have to handle possible scenarios such as an event gets sent out even though the write to DynamoDB failed. The way that I'm approaching it here is to just handle the writes to DynamoDB and let DynamoDB stream emit an event. Let's go to the orders table and enable streams. When this is enabled, this would capture time-ordered events of item-level modifications on the orders table. Next, what we have to do is to capture inserts, which are basically new orders, and send them to the central event bus. We also have to transform the records. We shouldn't expect downstream consumers to understand DynamoDB Streams payload. We can either write a custom Lambda function to do this, or use a managed approach like EventBridge pipes. Let's go for the latter. Go to EventBridge pipes console. Let's create a new pipe. Filter it by new records. We don't need to enrich the data, and transform the record to only the fields and the payload structure that we need. We then add additional metadata about this event and send it to the event bus that we created earlier. Now that we have an event when a new order has been created, let's make sure that the payment is processed first. In order for the payment service to respond to the new order event, we need to create a new EventBridge rule. Go to EventBridge Rules console. For this rule, the event pattern would capture all the new orders that would be created and then send it to the invoice service. Now that we have events flowing into the invoice service, let's also enable streams for the invoice table. Go to EventBridge Pipes console. We'll also use EventBridge Pipes to get the data from DynamoDB Streams to the event bus. We'll create a rule to trigger the fulfillment service when payment is processed. Let's enable streams as well. We'll be creating two pipes to capture the different states. The first one is when an initial request is made for fulfillment. And the second one is to capture any updates to the fulfillment. We'll be creating two rules. We'll create one rule to ship the package. Lastly, we'll create another rule to capture all the updates and update the main order record so that our user knows what's happening to his or her order. Let's send a request to test how everything integrates together. As you can see in the orders table, the record gets created with an initial state, and it will be updated as the other services do their respective actions. We can inspect the various tables like the invoices table, as well as the fulfillment table. That's it for our quick demo. We covered how to implement transactional outbox pattern by using CDC data via DynamoDB streams. We also covered how to use EventBridge pipes to do filtering and transformation of the CDC payload to something that can easily be understood by downstream systems. And lastly, how to subscribe various consumers by creating EventBridge rules and using rule patterns to filter specific events for specific consumers.